How are you guys today?
Hey guys.
Doing amazing. I'm a little tipsy right now, to be honest.
I have never been more fantastic in my entire existence on this planet Earth.
Nice.
Yes.
Had some amazing beer. I love it right
Yeah,
now.
we started off with a couple beers. We got a late start this afternoon, but it's all right. Everybody got their naps in. We got the grocery shopping done, and we got some
Nice.
beer drinking done. It's gonna be a good
Fuck yeah.
Darkercide Podcast. Yes.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Welcome to the Darkercide Podcast.
Nothing easy. Wrong answer.
All right, guys, in today's episode, John, later on, will be covering an American serial killer where a detective on his case called him a killing machine.
He's a creepy son of a bitch.
And many have compared him to the infamous heavy hitter, Ted Bundy.
Oh.
In a lot of respects. Again, that will be later on when we dive deeper into the darker side. Right now, it's time for Today in History, Darker Side Edition.
Oh, God.
We're recording this episode today on April 29th, 2018, right?
Sounds good to me.
Correctamundo.
Yep.
The old Apple Watch says April 29th, so yes, I got the date right. All right, guys. First off, just to let you guys know, kind of the prehistory of like the modern era, nothing really happened in April 29th. There was some crazy bullshit you could have gone into, but it wasn't fucking pertinent. It was all just stupid shit. So we're going to start off in 1945. This is a big one, guys.
Uh-oh.
I'm ready.
Dun, dun, dun.
The Nazi death camp, Dachau, was liberated. For fuck's sake, it was liberated.
Yay.
Have you been? Did you go to Dachau, John?
I've been to Dachau. Actually, hearing
Really?
the word Dachau always gives me chills. It
Do-
never ceases.
When
to.
you were there, and this is something we may be able to like do an episode with, like these types of places. But when you were at Dachau, was there this feeling of something great and maybe horrible happened there at one point? Like, did you catch that, or were you too young to even?
I was 15 and I was there with somebody, a survivor.
Holy.
So it was an electric negativity that I cannot actually describe. It made the hairs on my neck stand up from the
Really?
time I was there till the time I left, and I broke down weeping at one point.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was an incredible moment. Yeah, the lady who was there actually went down to the ovens and looked at me and pointed and said, "That's where they burned my parents."
Oh.
Really?
That's crazy,
Ow.
man.
And
And
then-
you were there. You were actually feeling this as a young kid. I'm not sure how much of an empath you are. I know you I know that. It had to have, like, there's something in your chest that is just gripping and you just can't you can't relate.
Yeah.
But you know it's so epic.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was one of the most defining moments of my life.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was. I wouldn't have been anywhere else on Earth at that time. It was an experience that I think everybody should have, because you should realize how human beings can be to each other, and I think you should see that firsthand and know it. And I love Germany for leaving that in the center of a beautiful town.
Well, I mean,
Definitely.
in that, I'll give Germany a lot of credit in regards to after the war. They really did take responsibility for this, and they said these spots where we had these atrocities happen, we're going to keep them the way they are. We're going to memorialize them and go never again.
Never again.
You know. Now, Dresden. Dresden was a different one, correct? Or was that?
Dresden was a firebombing, and that was us.
Okay, we firebombed Dresden. Now that's the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, correct. Kurt Vonnegut gets stuck it out inside of a slaughterhouse while we firebombed Dresden.
Was he a POW at that point?
I don't know.
I know, but he was there.
Yeah, all I know is that we dropped enough incendiary devices to actually create a firestorm.
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
it
So-
sucked all of the oxygen out of the town.
What's the name of that movie again? Slaughterhouse
5.
Slaughterhouse 5, yeah. So he was in Slaughterhouse 5 during that time. If you've
Wow.
never completely unrelated to the Dachau, but I mean, if you've never read Slaughterhouse 5, definitely, because it's a first-hand experience along with
Right.
Kurt Vonnegut's sci-fi, etc. It's good, good book.
I have to say this. I mean, this whole thing kind of really hits home with me because my mom's Jewish and her whole side of the family is Jewish. So technically, by blood, I'm
Polish
like
Jewish?
half, huh?
Polish Jewish or?
Yeah, my dad's side of the family is more is Russian.
Okay.
And Methodist. you know, I pretty much get that half Jewish side from my mom, and she always taught us a lot of Jewish ideologies and Ten Commandments and all that stuff. So that kind of thing really does kind of hit home for me.
Well, to know that probably some of your relatives ended up there and
Yeah.
could have very well, gone to the chambers there. Oof. All right, guys, and 1 year later, in 1946, the International Military Tribunal for the Far East, so this is on the opposite side of the war, over in Japan, convenes and indicts former Prime Minister of Japan, Hideki Tojo, and 28 former Japanese leaders for war crimes.
Cool.
I mean, you have to realize what these Japanese people were doing over there. They were killing everybody. Also, you have what they did in America. Obviously, and then what they were doing to their own people during the time. It was a rough time over there, and so that's basically what was happening on the other front.
When you revere your emperor as a god, it's amazing what people will do to other people.
Absolutely. I mean, when you put faith and religion in politics together, it's amazing. If you guys can hear that, that's my child being possessed by the devil in the background.
Hell yeah, it's
The
awesome.
darker child.
The darker child.
The darker child. The darker child.
All right, so let's move to 1 year. And all right, so we're gonna go fast forward a little bit in time here. In 1991, a cyclone striking the Chittagong district of southeastern Bangladesh with winds of around 155 miles an hour, killing at least 138,000 people.
Wow.
And leaving as many as 10 million homeless. Did any of you guys ever hear about this?
Nope.
I did not hear about
No.
that.
None of us did. 138,000 people killed by one storm in 1991.
Wow.
And leaving 10 million people homeless. It just goes to show what our media back then literally cared about was nothing but America.
Yep.
Any of these world things happening, like, it's just that's Bangladesh. Who gives a fuck about Bangladesh?
Was that during the Clinton Lewinsky?
It could have very well
snafu?
been in 1991.
Oh, yeah.
So what, 88? So he was elected in 88, right? Was that second term bullshit? Or was it 92 when he was elected?
He would have been elected in 88 and 92.
I was born in 93, so I
Yeah,
can't.
because George H.W. Bush was elected in 88.
George H.W. was 88.
And he had one term.
So Clinton was 92,
Yeah, so it would have been after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean before that, sorry. But this was definitely during the Clinton era. In 1992, and Forrest, you're the only one here who wasn't alive at that time.
Yeah.
1992, rioting began after a jury's decision to acquit 4 Los Angeles policemen in the Rodney King beating trial. Now listen to this, guys. 54 people were killed in that 3-day period.
Is it the LA race riots? Is that what it's?
Well, yeah, the Rodney King riots.
Oh, Rodney King.
The LA race riots were actually in the 60s.
Okay.
I think I've seen movies about that.
What, the LA race riots or Rodney King?
Both, I think.
I think they're in the same movie.
Sublime.
Yeah.
Sublime did a wonderful job of telling
Their
us
living
this
room
Yeah.
was much more comfortable the next day. On this day, on tomorrow's date in history, Sublime's living room was more comfortable, and they had all the alcohol they couldn't afford.
Yeah, exactly. And they had couches, and Lou Dog was definitely chilling.
Yeah, where do you think he got the guitar you were hearing on that day?
But I mean, that day we basically gave the ultimate power and the police power and the militaristic power to the police at that time. Rodney King did not deserve that beating whatsoever.
And where was this again?
In Los Angeles, dude.
LA?
You don't know about this story?
I know a little
Yeah, I mean,
bit.
I
of it,
understand
to be
you were
honest.
born how many years? 1 year later.
Now, I'm curious. What I'm curious of is the president at the time, the Clintons. Did they ever, mention this? You know how something big happens in the country, a president will go on the TV and say, "Oh my God,"
I'm sure they mentioned something about it, but you have to realize that the Clintons were not. I mean, as much as they said, quote unquote, they were for African Americans.
Oh, I don't have any positive opinions about the Clintons at all.
No, they were the ones who put the 3 strikes rule in. Probably one of the worst.
Wow.
Worst legislations to put into for mandatory sentence and stuff like that. Clintons were not, and if they did anything, it was just to mention, hey, people on the West Coast, stop rioting and don't kill anybody. We know you're frustrated, and we've got you, strapped, and you can't do much in life because you're totally downtrodden. But hey,
That's awful.
just because one of your fellow black people got, you know,
I'm glad I didn't vote for Hillary.
Don't steal white people's stuff. Is basically what I heard growing up.
Let's never forget that Rodney King did in fact say the most wonderful thing ever. Almost straight out of Barney. He said, "Why can't we all just get along?"
Right?
Yeah.
And the sad thing
true.
is they beat this guy to a pulp, Forrest.
Yeah,
And
that's not right.
he lived. And he basically had TBIs. Now that we know like more about TBIs and traumatic brain injuries, he had TBI. He's not the same Rodney King that he was. And these four, and it's on video.
That's not right.
We have tons of video of it. It's all over. You can go Google it.
From the 90s.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
And you
definitely.
watch this. There is nothing justifiable. And these fuckers were acquitted.
Wow.
It's just,
You
yeah.
fucking
I
kidding
mean,
me.
that's a changing. That was one of the, like, we were alive for that. Me and you, John. We were 12,
That's a big
13
deal.
years old when that
is
happened.
a really big fucking deal.
We were 12 and 13. We watched this shit happen. And I'll tell you, that's a defining moment in my life where I went, wow, there is some sort of injustice in this world.
Wow.
It's crazy. Like,
I mean, just it's awful. It
yeah,
really
absolutely.
is.
So, all right, so this is not a brighter side podcast. This is a darker side
Hell
podcast.
yeah, it's darker side.
So, sorry. In 1997, the year you and I graduated high school, John. Fucking old fuckers now.
Oh, don't say
Panthers.
that.
You were 4 years old when we graduated.
They could be your daddy.
Oh my god.
Holy
you guys.
shit, we could be your daddy.
I'll
We were
call you
just
guys.
talking about that yesterday.
Yes.
I'll call you guys Daddy 1 and 2 for now.
No,
Daddy too.
I like it.
Staff Sergeant Delmar Simpson, a drill instructor at Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. You guys know Aberdeen, yeah, of course. Was convicted of raping 6 female trainees. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison and was dishonorably discharged. And now, I did say that this is the darker side and not a brighter side, but this actually is kind of a brighter side story.
And overall, yes.
I mean, it's dark as fuck because I'm pretty sure that he probably raped more than these 6 women because serial rapists, etc. But he, I think it was one of the first times that our government said, all right, we're actually going to convict this type of thing. I mean, it's one of those things in history that happened. You know, the guy, the what do you call it, male or
Patriarchal, is that what you're looking for?
patriarchal society, who gives a fuck about the females, whatever, we're here to dominate them. And then if our government and our military was like, no, this guy's a scumbag, we're gonna finally do something about it, and he was sentenced to 25 and dishonorably discharged. You know what? Good for the government.
So he's out of jail by now. What year is it?
97. He's got a maybe. It's good behavior.
Forrest, how old are you?
I'll be 25.
Yeah, he's got about 10 more years.
Soon.
Maybe.
That's crazy. It seems like he should have got
Actually,
way
no
longer
more.
than
Yeah,
that.
probably about 3 or 4 more years.
It seems like he should have got way longer.
Yeah, well, we sentence you to, 30 to life for a dime bag.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say.
But
It's
if you rape 6 chicks and you get 25.
Chicks.
because I mean, I
Sorry,
hate-
broads.
I
Sorry, broad. I meant to say broads.
6 broads.
That's
I mean-
better.
Oh, good lord. I'm sorry, guys.
I hate to bring this up, but I mean, I got stopped in West Virginia coming back from California. I had a nickel size worth of weed on me. Literally a nickel size of weed.
Oh, yeah.
Picture a nickel size of weed.
We
And
Tasty, sweet,
this-
tasty nug.
this cop, after a lot of weird talking, he ended up searching my car.
Oh, the weird talking. You can watch
and
videos of them convincing you that you need to show them what's in
He
your car.
obviously, the cop lied to me, and he searched my car, and basically what West Virginia could have went after me for this one little fucking thing that I ended up pleading guilty to in order to get a probation,
Right,
out-of-state
right.
probation, and pay a big fine. It was just ridiculous. I could have went to jail for up to 50 years with a $500,000 fine, according to Ohio County in West Virginia.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that's just some of the horrible laws that we write against some of this shit that is...
bullshit.
Marijuana's illegal because of the jazz.
Yep.
The
Fucking devil's lettuce.
devil's
Some
lettuce.
states are
there's,
obsessed with catching people with
Yeah,
it.
you're going to smoke one of them jazz cigarettes.
The old jazz.
All right, guys. Right now is a segment where we talk about some crazy, fucked up news stories.
Fucked up.
All right, so I'm actually not going to be reading any news stories. The rest of the crew today is going to be handling that, and
Yep.
I think we're going to start with Rachel.
Awesome. So as I was scrolling Facebook, a nice little article popped up. Figured I'd share it with y'all. So everybody's heard of Alcatraz, and if you haven't, it's this cute little prison.
Cute little prison.
Cute little prison in the what, San
Built on
Francisco
an
Bay?
island.
How dark of you.
Thousands of feet of waterfront property.
Thousands of feet of waterfront property.
Luscious hot tub.
Off the coast of California. It is known for being the prison you can't escape from, because everybody who's tried has died, supposedly.
Yeah, because and then that's I think it's like a mile off the coast anyway.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
quite,
Well,
quite a bit away.
It's rocky.
Yeah.
It's a rocky coast. It's quite dangerous.
The water's
The
cold.
water's
very
cold.
Oh,
and
yeah.
fierce.
It's a real weenie shrinker when you get it.
Weenie shrinker.
Little cock blocker.
I can't imagine.
All right. So, in all, 36 inmates have tried to escape the Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, and as far as authorities are concerned, they all failed. However, the trio of convicts that come closest to success was that of Frank Morris and John and Clarence Anglin. They were two brothers.
Didn't they do a bunch of like there's like a documentary on this
Yeah.
incident and then also I think some
It's
of
on the
these-
History Channel.
the History Channel did
Yep.
a thing of it too. Yeah.
History Channel.
So the inmates worked at night over a period of 6 months using discarded saw blades, stolen spoons, and a drill made from the motor of a vacuum cleaner to widen the ventilation ducts in their cells. Morris covered the noise by playing his accordion, and the halls were covered with cardboard and paint. They climbed on top of the cell block and set up a workshop that turned 50 raincoats into life preservers and a rubber raft, stitched together and heat sealed with steam from the pipes, and making paddles from scrap wood.
These guys should have been entrepreneurs at this time
So-
and not thieves.
Yeah.
The petty thieves sitting there in Alcatraz. This is some smart shit.
So the Mythbusters did this too, actually.
Yeah.
They did.
They,
They did.
Mythbusters.
they glued a bunch of raincoats together and made a little raft out of it.
Yeah. So eventually, escaping through the roof, their disappearances were hidden using dummy heads made from paper mache-like mixture of soap and toilet paper, and paint from the maintenance shop, and hair from the barbershop floor.
In their beds, right?
Yes.
Yeah, to make sure.
Yep.
That,
So
that's
it looked
crazy,
like they
right?
were still
That's so
sleeping.
ingenious. So ingenious.
Holy man, so bad not to crack.
Oh my goodness. So they descended 50 feet by sliding down a pipe and climbed over 2 barbed wire fences to a blind spot. Right? Like a fire pole. In the prison searchlights where they inflated their raft and took to the water. But from there, things get a bit fuzzier. The FBI search found only remnants of the raft, and they decided that they had likely drowned. However, there have been some hints that they got away safely.
Now, the FBI literally only just found
Yeah,
like
they found
pieces of the raincoats on the actual coastline across
Correct.
the bay. Yeah.
Yep.
So which would lead you to believe that they did meet some horrible demise.
Right.
And that's what the story
Especially
states.
with the history of those other previous 33 inmates who have tried and have failed.
And basically they found the bodies or they never got a chance
Right.
to get off the island. They died before they hit the water type
Right.
of situations. Yeah.
So in 2012, the Anglins family claimed that the brothers were alive, but had kept a distance due to them having to cut all ties. One sibling had told family members on his deathbed that he had been in contact with the brothers from 1963 until 1987. There's also a photo that I will share with, on the website that you guys can take a look at that shows the two brothers alive and well in 1975. Now, a letter from one of the men who supposedly escaped and was sent to the FBI, claiming to be John Anglin, and explaining that he and the others did survive. The letter was delivered in 2013, but has only been revealed to the public, and reads as follows. My name is John Anglin. I escaped from Alcatraz in June 1962 with my brother Clarence and Frank Morris.
Frank Morris was the other guy
Correct.
who the story from the Mythbusters or like all these other ones are like he's the main guy. These other two guys weren't the main guy.
I believe it was Clint Eastwood's character.
Yeah.
So the letter reads, I am 83 years old and in bad shape. I have cancer. Yes, we made it that night, but barely. Frank passed away in October 2005. His grave is in Alexandria under another name. My brother died in 2011, which would be, his brother.
Wow.
Right.
If you announce on TV that I will be promised to go to jail for no more than 1 year and get medical attention, I will write back to let you know exactly where I am. This is no joke. This is for real and the honest truth. The FBI inspected the letter to see if there were any fingerprints or whether the handwriting could be matched, but all tests were inconclusive. Brothers John and Clarence England were sentenced to 15 to 20 years behind bars for robbing banks and other establishments. They served their time in 3 different prisons, but after repeated escape attempts, they were sent to Alcatraz to make sure they wouldn't break out again.
But they did.
A U.S. Marshal spokesperson has said that there's absolutely no reason to believe that any of them would have changed their lifestyle and become completely law-abiding citizens after the escape.
Yeah. You know, I mean, and you and I were talking about this before, Rachel. I think it's unfortunate. I don't think this guy has the means or money to actually treat his cancer.
Right.
So what he's looking for is to be incarcerated and treated for the crimes that he actually committed in his life so that he could get the treatment.
The medical treatment that he needs, because how else is he going to afford it?
Why would you write a letter like that and claim that it was, if you really weren't the person who
Right.
survived?
Right.
And I can guarantee you those fucking 3 people, oh my God, how smart were they? They got home.
Well, you
They
stick...
found their family. They found a
Right.
life. They did other things. And
You can walk away and kind of put all that aside and become a law-abiding citizen.
that's crazy.
It's really easy.
Counterpoint, if they got away and you wanted to get medical attention, couldn't you just go to the local police station, roll down the window of your car and be like, I escaped from Alcatraz and I'm sick? Like, I think you wouldn't have to write a letter. You would just need
They
to...
would probably try to put you in a psychiatric
Yeah, they would
facility
probably think you're crazy.
before-
But writing a letter to the FBI, who are still
investigating.
could be searching for these people, would maybe a more direct way, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? Poor guy. I hope he gets the treatment he needs. Maybe he does spend a year in jail. Who knows?
Well, the letter was sent back in 2013, so I mean, it's been some years. He may not even be around any longer.
Yeah, you never know.
But it is quite interesting and fun to think about too. Like, oh, maybe they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Now,
yeah.
Forrest,
Yeah.
you've got a news story here that is very, very recent, and you're going to go into it just real quick because I know that.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to hit him as a future story, and
Definitely.
darker, diving deeper. So give us your little bit of a blurb, little news article here.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah. I just really wanted, just to be honest with everyone, I really just wanted to do a blurb on this just because it's so recent and it's huge. You know, it's a surprise to me when I read it on my phone. I was like, holy crap, like is this really happening right now? Like, I watched a movie about this like 5 years ago, and
Ooh, what is it?
Zodiac.
Oh, the Zodiac.
Well, I don't know if it's the Zodiac.
No? Is that something different?
This is
Am I
the
wrong?
different. This is the.
I'm
this
wrong.
is actually not the Zodiac killer. Well, although they didn't really know who the Zodiac killer could. I don't think he's related to the Zodiac killer.
Maybe not.
I don't know. Mercury's
off.
in retrograde, and I'm really fucked up right now because of it. You all know that I'm a fire sign, and it's really getting to me. So
I mean, either way, it's still.
I'm a man on the ledge. I'm a man on the ledge.
I'm kind of out of it too, actually. This
is a little bit. I think a blurb on the Golden Gate killer. Right? Yeah.
The Golden Gate Killer. There's a video on it we can post on our Facebook. A really short video. I'm sure it's more of a news type video. So more than 40 years after so-called Golden State Killer began terrorizing California, raping dozens of women and killing at least 12 people, authorities announced Wednesday that they had arrested 72-year-old Joseph James D'Angelo, charging him with capital murder after a recent DNA match.
On one of the sites, I think it was Ancestry, or was it
23andMe, stay away from those
23andMe?
things.
Yeah, no. We're going to do a whole episode on why we should stay away from
Government
those.
conspiracy.
Yes, John.
And then the funny thing is that this article, keep in mind, is from the Washington Post. You know, it was produced around April 26th, And it's funny, there really isn't much mentioning in this article what was really involved on how they found this information.
Ooh, it is the sketchiest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. And it is a complete and utter infringing on your privacy. Absolutely.
Well,
and this was done.
Read the fine
DNA.
print.
The DNA was technically not even his; it was a relative of his. We're not going to say any more about that because there's going to be a future episode on why you should never, ever, ever give anybody your DNA.
I mean, unless you're a serial killer, then I absolutely go out and do it right now. I will personally pay for it.
Right? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have thought
I'm not going to lie, everybody.
Oh,
drink.
Everybody drink.
Drink. Toast.
Toast, I'm not going to lie.
Yummy.
I'm not going to lie.
There it is.
Forrest.
Again, okay.
All right.
I'm sorry if this is a little bit too personal for everyone here or listening. But I have recently thought about donating sperm for money.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, get paid for that.
Yeah, but you're not giving you're
Makes me
giving
think.
them
Second thoughts
You're
about this
basically
now.
just taking your cum and giving it to somebody for a baby. You're not giving it to a company to have your DNA sequence.
Well, yeah.
You're not.
Ooh.
You never know what could... I don't know what happens to that,
Read the fine print. Always. Yeah. Read the fine print.
Yeah.
Look at Facebook as an example. Read the fine print.
Okay, shut up. It's annoying.
You never know what the
Please,
fuck
with all
they
due
do with
respect,
this
shut
shit. You never know. I mean, this shit's crazy.
All right.
and-
So, any other things except we're going to be doing a diving deeper episode on this?
Would you like me to tell you guys how what happened to him, like what they're charging?
Yeah.
and all that
What
stuff?
are they charging him of?
Let's see here. The magnitude of this case. Let's see here. Well, demand that it be solved, said Sacramento County District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert. I know I have it right over here.
Do.
Oh, right here. Sacramento County Court records showed that D'Angelo was booked into jail early Wednesday morning on 2 counts of murder. No bail was set, and it was not known if he had an attorney.
Oh, I love it when they don't have an attorney. That's the best.
Well, he's like an ex. I mean, if again, we might dive deeper into this later on, but he's an ex-police officer, man.
Interesting.
He has a background knowing how to cover up these types of things.
I believe it.
Knows how to actually do this. He is honestly the perfect. He would be one of the perfect serial killers if this is actually the Golden State Killer.
Yeah.
And we have some time to figure it out. We'll have some time to figure it out, and we definitely will be hitting that story harder later on once we do know all the final details.
Yep.
Jenny,
Sounds good.
I think you have a little bit more uplifting news article today.
Nobody died in the making of this article.
Nor any animals either.
Yeah. So this one's from the Huffington Post, and
Oh my God, Huffington Post.
HuffPost, yeah.
I got a lot to say about the Huffington Post, but I won't do it today or here.
Yeah.
So the title is "A Man Who Survived Bear Attack Gets Bitten by a Shark."
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's even
Oh, yeah.
better than that.
So they actually wrote, and this tagline just kills me. It says, "For some reason, the animal kingdom must hate Dylan McWilliams."
Poor Dylan.
On Thursday, the 20-year-old...
Darn it, Dylan.
Darn it, Dylan. On Thursday, the 20-year-old resident of Grand Junction, Colorado, which is a wonderful, wonderful city. Go hit up Palisades Brewing while you're there. Was bitten by a shark while boogie boarding off the island of Kauai, Hawaii. Previously, about last year, he was attacked by a 300-pound black bear while camping in Boulder County, Colorado. The thing tried to eat his head. So he's,
Oh my God.
He survived that incident, spent some time in the hospital, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's going to blow off some steam. He's all healed up, and he gets attacked by a shark. Well, he made it into the sand. What do we call it? The beach.
The beach. Yes,
The
the
beach.
beach part of the beach.
Thank you for mouthing
Yes.
that. The beach part of the beach. He made it there, and some folks brought him to the hospital where he was all set. What's interesting to note is that he was also previously attacked by a rattlesnake. And of these 3 events, he says, and I quote, I don't blame the shark. I don't blame the bear. And I don't blame the rattlesnake. So that's Mr. McWilliams, and I wish him luck and health. And I think he should stop camping, move to New York, and never leave his apartment.
Never stop camping. Never stop exploring. This guy is never going to die, John.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, he is the Steve Irwin
Of Colorado?
Yeah, of absurdity. He's like the absurd Steve. He's like the the dude bro. He's the dude bro.
How did that work for Steve? How did that work for Steve?
Of course.
I'm gonna jump on this manta ray and
R.I.P. R.I.P. I cry when I still think about
He's
him
like
dying.
the modern
Just the greatest. That's all, Forrest. He's the greatest.
he is good. How's Bindi, I wonder?
She's the best. Bindi
She
is
did fantastic
amazing.
on Dancing with the Stars, by the
did she?
way.
Oh,
Yes,
nice.
a few seasons ago.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice. His legacy lives on.
Oh, yes.
The Darker Side news stories, guys. Great job.
nice, awesome job,
Bringing
guys.
some craziness to our lives. Right now is Creepypasta Corner.
Creepypasta.
Today's Creepypasta Corner episode title is called Seaweed. My grandmother grew up in the slums of Prohibition-era Chicago. Her family lived in a small house near the harbor, and one of her earliest memories was of a particular hot summer when, seeking respite from the heat, she and her sister discovered a seldom-used section of the boardwalk near an abandoned warehouse. Every night for several weeks, the two girls would make their way down to the docks to sit together on the edge of the pier as the sun went down. My grandmother vividly and for a time fondly recalled the feel of the seaweed between her toes as she and her sisters dangled their feet into the murky water.
Why does anybody think that feels good? It doesn't.
Who knows?
It's slimy.
It's like worms. It's like,
Yeah.
I love the feeling of stepping on worms.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until years later that she returned to the pier and found the warehouse had been demolished. Curious, she made an inquiry into the Department of Planning and Development. Apparently the warehouse had been owned for a time by the mob, who was using the base of operations for a local prostitution racket. It had only been uncovered when an associate began disposing of rival hookers by fitting them with concrete shoes and dumping them into the harbor. Investigating officers had recovered nearly 24 bodies from the waters of the secluded pier nearby. How had the bodies been discovered? A passing fisherman spotted some of the victims' hair floating near the surface of the water, like seaweed.
Ew. That's gross.
Creepypasta.
I love the feeling of the seaweed between my toes.
Oh, I hate that
And
feeling.
it's hooker hair.
It's a sad Latvian girl.
Oh, sorry. And I apologize for this. Sex worker hair.
Everybody's just trying to make their way in this world, man.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I love the creepypasta. Alright, guys.
I like to put some Romano on that shit. Just eat it. Eat scariness. Nom nom nom.
God.
Alright, guys. Well, we're going to get into the segment we call the Darker Side Movie Review. Today, we are going to cover the 2015 joint.
Yeah, dog.
As if it was like a marijuana movie or a hip hop
Spike
movie.
Lee joint.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Crooklyn.
It's called the VVitch
The Vitch.
This.
or The Witch, 2015 movie. It is. It's got a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb's. It got a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rachel, making it.
Keeping it fresh.
What?
Yeah. Freshy fresh.
83% on Metacritic and
Meta?
70
Meta.
Oh yeah, like metadata.
Yeah.
Metacritic.
I do that too.
And a 74% like this movie
Google.
for Google users. In 1630 New England, panic and despair envelops a farmer, his wife and their children when the youngest son Samuel suddenly vanishes. The family blames Thomason, which I thought was a very cool name.
It is a cool name.
I really enjoyed that name as a female name.
She's the
I
eldest
really
daughter.
like it.
The oldest daughter, who was watching the boy at the time of his disappearance, with the suspicion and paranoia mounting, twin siblings Mercy and Jonas, those little fuckers,
Oh, God.
suspect
Annoying little
Thomason
shits.
of witchcraft, testing the clan's faith, loyalty, and love to one another. Right?
Right.
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 That actually summed up the movie pretty damn well. I think that's one of the first ones we've read on this that actually summed it up pretty goddamn
Yeah.
good. I
loved it.
really enjoyed the kind of real historical trueness of that time this movie kind of represent, with the puritanical views of the settlers at that time. What, 1630? 1630 America. So this happens at Plymouth Plantation.
Yep.
They never say it's Plymouth, but we know it is.
Oh,
Well,
hell
that,
yeah.
and we've been there.
Well, the opening scene when they get kicked out. Well, he basically, the father is so pure in his beliefs that
Oh,
he
God.
is like, I am not telling a lie. I'm not being, blasphemy, and and he just won't admit it. So the plantation's like, you got to get out.
He's
of
very
here.
strict and responsible.
Well, he went
The Puritan belief.
went up against the tribunal there, and they were like, "You're out, whatever, get out
And
of here."
he's like, fine, I'll take my family and go.
They weren't Jesus-y enough for him. He needed a little more Jesus.
right. He wanted
Yep.
more puritanical beliefs,
more Jesus, more less Moses by about 12%. But
Right,
a lot
right.
of Jesus.
Yeah, and they kicked him out, and I guess they basically said that like you have to go to the edge, like you have to go beyond
Yep.
what our areas. So they build this house out in the woods, and shit just starts to weirdly happen.
Oh yeah. Very odd.
Well, first, with the baby disappearing, she's literally, like, over the baby,
Oh,
playing
yeah.
peekaboo with him. She covers her eyes, going, "Where's Samuel?" Opens her eyes, and the kid's gone.
Completely.
Like, completely disappeared.
see
So she
something-
looks up, and she sees the trees in the woods,
Moving a little
which
bit.
are a good distance away.
Yeah, one of the pine trees is
It's
jiggling.
like,
Yeah.
hey.
Is
like-
jiggling up there, and you're like, and then all of a sudden it cuts to this woman in a red cape, and it really, does it have to be a red cape? Now, is that some sort of symbolism to like either like
Blood.
Red Riding Hood or witch?
Blood
It could be,
sacrifice.
but it also could be...
Why is the best color in the world always
well,
pegged as the worst color?
You
in
have
the
to
world?
think back in that time, they were working with what they had. So
true.
red berries make a red dye. It's
Red
easier.
berries are also poisonous and of the devil, possibly, and.
Dun, dun, dun.
But
yeah.
red was red considered a sinister color at that point? I mean, that's the color of Satan, right?
Who knows?
No, I mean,
Brimstone and fire.
That's a good...
Red
the
devil.
forked tail and the red skin and the
Right,
pitchfork.
right.
I'm Satan.
So it escalates actually really fast
Oh,
after
yeah.
the baby disappears. The mother's going, she's losing her mind anyway. She's just on the verge. The father is so puritanical.
Very early in the film, it escalates.
And all this weird, crazy stuff is happening. You get this scene like where this one black billy goat is just kind of like terrorizing the area because this girl, like it gets crazy at that point. Like, I mean, wow. And it really kind of represented the edge, I think, that people in that time frame were really living upon. I mean, and these puritanical people came from Europe, you know, and then this is the time of the Salem witch trials. This is
Yep.
post or pre-Salem witch trials.
Pre-Salem.
And keep in mind, we're all New Englanders, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we are New Englanders, so we come from this area, and we kind of know the history of this. But I think it was a really cool representation. And now when the shit really started to hit the fan, where the daughter is being accused of being a witch, when we get to really see how these little fuckers, the twins,
Little
were
shits.
little assholes.
Fucking
Like,
twins are weird anyway.
Spawn of the devil.
and the crazy thing is you just think that they're telling lies. Like, and then again, it goes back to that Black Billy goat. What they call it? Black Billy?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that name, Black Billy.
I love it too.
And like, well, he told us that this happened, and he said you were a witch, and then like all of a sudden we're at the scene where the brother gets lost.
Yeah.
we're leaving out a lot of this. Like, if you haven't seen the movie, please do watch it.
Please.
We're not going to ruin it as
Let's
much.
let's not lose the fact that the brother's like starting to come of age, and he's
and he's all
creepily looking at his sister and whatnot.
It definitely brings up some like prepubescent.
Yeah, but I
ideologies.
thought about it too. I'm like, how would I handle this situation if, like, I don't have any other contact with human beings other than the people that I live with?
Right.
Going through puberty, he's coming of age, and all of a sudden he sees a little bit of, like, his sister's cleavage or her thigh, and he's getting a little weird feelings and thoughts. You're like, how would you deal with that situation, especially in such a puritanical family?
Yeah.
You know, we grew up, we had our own experiences in childhood. It's just, like, weird to think about it in that setting.
Yeah.
And then he sees that delicious corset-wearing woods
With
witch.
her red lips.
Oh, lips like a persimmon all pursed. She's got like
she's got a red cape on
and-
and
oh my
dark,
God.
beautiful flowing hair.
And keep in mind too, those little children start talking about this crazy, witchery stuff within like the first 12 minutes of the film. So it's so early, it's almost like you can't really believe them.
And you don't the whole time. And then you come to find out when everybody's at their breaking point, when it's the last moment of this movie, the father goes nuts. He gets killed by who?
The goat, Black Billy.
Yeah.
Black Billy. He gets impaled by him twice and then
It's
knocked into
gorged.
the woods.
It's like watching that Running of the Bulls. It's just like fucking goat.
And just after he gets killed, the mother, who's also just gone nuts, attacks Thomason. And then Thomason grabs a knife off they're on the ground and she's punching her, and then Thomason grabs a knife and just starts slashing.
Well, Mom's choking her out. She's like, and
She
then
didn't want to
the
kill
kid
her.
just
No,
grabs a
she
knife,
didn't.
and then
She
she's like
didn't.
hugging her dead mom.
But this, I'm not gonna lie though, this movie
Oh,
does
not
get.
gonna lie.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, drinking. This movie gets very humanistic and very psychological in a sense because mainly things make you think. The way the movie heads, it makes you think one thing, and then minutes later you find out the complete opposite. It's like at one point when things started turning through verbal language, I thought the dad was actually going to start believing the older daughter.
Right.
And then within minutes, he ends up completely against. I'm just like, I hate the father.
Yeah, the volatility of his puritanical beliefs was if you have to think about the time, though, I mean, that's all he had was his beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Father of the Year is locking his kids into a barn with like the evil Billy goat and just like slamming nails in, like, you're the spawn of Satan, just slamming all the nails in.
The goat
like,
sitting there pimp style. Do you see that picture when they showed the twins sitting behind him, and it's just the goat like sitting there in front of the other like white goats, but he's just sitting there with his horns, and he's all like, "What up, dog?"
so fucking metal right now.
Yeah, and he's just standing in front of the twins, and then you got the older sister just going, Are you really the devil? Are you really talking to my sister and brother? Like, and he's just going, "What up, dogs? Yeah, I ain't saying shit." And then all this crazy shit happens, and then like you were saying, Forrest, before, the humanistic, like, as this young Thomason girl, all this shit is happening so fast.
Oh yeah,
you're at the point where you're becoming a woman.
Yep.
And she's already emotionally charged, and all this craziness is happening around her. Everybody's blaming her for this. How would you react if your mother's sitting there choking you to death, and like all of a sudden you're like, slash, she kills her mother?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
And it's funny. I thought it was awesome when she called him a hypocrite.
Yeah.
When she called her dad a hypocrite, I was like, wow, she's actually right.
Well,
but no one believes her.
You know what the thing about that is I think it hits upon the same exact reason why they got kicked out of the plantation beginning. Because he is a hypocrite, because he's not, and she just calls him on it, and that's when he's like, "You're a witch!
Yep.
Fuck you! You're gonna burn at the stake. We're gonna take you and make money off of you."
Kids started yelling about it, and yelling witch all over the place, and then,
and then, at the end,
the
everybody's
ending
dead.
Got very...
Everybody's dead. She's literally lost her mind.
And keep in mind, though, when everyone's dead, there's still like another 15 minutes just going. And you're just... You don't see it coming at all.
Well, it's funny because the movie's only 93 minutes long.
Yeah.
So
it's
it's
an
a
hour and a half.
quick movie.
For a 93-minute movie, though, they pack a punch.
We find out that Black Billy literally was Satan.
The devil.
Take off your slip.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Sign the book in front of you.
I can't write my letters so good.
It's all right. I'll guide you through it.
Okay, time to be a satanic witch.
And I'm seriously though, rewatching this after watching it in the theaters, there were a lot of things I caught that I didn't catch when I was in the theater. But the one thing that just still makes me feel weird about this movie, I still had a creepy feeling rewatching it, was when the little boy kisses what he thinks is a beautiful lady at that cabin or whatever that is, that house that
when that
supposedly the witch is at, technically. And it's this beautiful woman with big breasts. And
Yeah, we
he
mentioned
just
her earlier.
starts making out with her and just...
And then that crone hand is like choking him into the kiss.
Just grabs the back of his head and just brings him in. It's so great.
Watch the movie,
It's like,
guys.
what is it,
Please.
The Shining? Isn't that the lady in the tub?
Yep.
That's what that reminds me of.
I didn't want to ruin the ending, and
I don't want to either.
I don't think we're going to. But watch the movie. I was a little, I think, personally disappointed at the ending. Again, we're not going to go into it because we're going to save that for you guys.
Yep.
If you haven't watched The Witch, go watch it.
Please.
Personally, was everybody else? I'm pretty sure was kind of surprised by the ending too, as
yeah.
well. But I'm going to give it a rating of probably 91, just like Rotten Tomatoes. I thought it was good. Historically, I can't give it perfection because I was a little ticked at the end, but you know, a 91 out of 4 trillion dim doppers. Yep, 4 trillion dim doppers.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
That's a great score.
It's a good score.
Awesome.
That's tough with you, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's
Especially on
that?
the dim dopper scale.
The dim
Yeah.
dopper
Yeah.
scale.
Dim Dopper.
Totally.
Yeah. Rachel?
So there were a few things I liked. I really enjoyed the score and the music.
Oh, the sound design was unbelievable.
Yes, for those, it's haunting. It is. It's very haunting when you hear these lovely ladies in a choir just chanting. It's hard to explain, so you're just gonna have to listen to it. So go watch the movie. I didn't like the fact that the damn witch killed that damn baby, and they showed it, and it was bothersome.
She
Yeah.
pulverized it like mortar and pestle,
Oh
and she's
my
like eating the
God.
entrails, like.
And then like
Yep.
smearing this dead baby all over her. So that a little too far for my taste.
You know,
overall-
women will do a lot of things to look younger in appearance.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I would say maybe like a 7 out of 10. That's my personal rating.
That's kind of like Google, what Google gave it.
Yeah, meh.
IMDB and Google, pretty much. Nice.
A little bit higher than IMDb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit higher, of
Good.
course. Yeah.
IMDb.
I love the film, the cinematography, the script, the long takes, the soundtrack and the design, the acting, the structure, the editing was all on point. The movie goes right into the folktale right from the get-go.
Which is good.
And the one thing I really liked about this, I hate to bring this up sometimes, but I've watched every single different type of trailer for this movie, which there's only 2 actually. Most movies have like 5 or 6. This one only has 2 types of trailers. And literally everything in that trailer, in both of those trailers, really only give away like the first like 30 minutes of the movie. And it's like you see all this happening from the trailer and you're just like, okay, well, we're like 30 minutes in, so what the fuck is going to happen for the rest of the movie? It's crazy. And, you know, it had a pretty long outstretched ending in my opinion. But I loved it. I love that factor. Because the last like 25 minutes you just don't see coming at all. And, you know, within 5 minutes they're already leaving the village. And I think that's awesome. And, but yeah, if I were to give it a rating, I'd probably agree with Rotten Tomatoes. I'd probably give it like a 95 out of 100.
A little
That's
higher
high.
than me, huh?
That's
Yeah.
high.
I loved it. I loved everything about the movie.
Johnny John, what about you, bro?
Dude, it went from Little House on the Prairie to a fucking Bathory album. It was so metal. It was so metal.
Yeah, dude, it was pretty.
Oh,
I thought as soon as I saw the black goat, I was like, fucking hail Satan.
Oh, the
Show
shooting
me
was
the
awesome.
show me the horns.
I just
was
wanted
awesome.
haunting guitars and like blasting drum beats the whole time.
Yeah, like old school black metal.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that goat, I was like, yes.
I was scared of that goat.
Yeah,
I was a little scared.
mayhem, and some emperor.
Yeah,
style
little
black metal.
immortal, just like torches in the woods and naked flying vitches
and vitches and like corpse paint everywhere.
Oh yeah, just so metal. Yeah, I really liked it. The pacing I thought was a little slow.
It was fast.
I was also with you there.
Yeah,
I mean, again, the last 15 minutes of the movie is literally a black metal song.
Yeah.
I have to say though, at some parts of the film, especially the beginning, the pacing was very quick.
Well, I mean, they give you within the first 2 minutes of the movie, you're like, okay, that's all the backstory.
Yeah.
And
I liked it. Though.
I mean, if you think about the first 2 minutes as quick, yes,
it's confusing.
The rest, Act 2,
yeah, they blend it.
Is like an hour.
Yeah,
and that's very slow.
Yeah,
because Act 2 shouldn't be that long.
But
and then Act 3 is literally 25 minutes, and then you've got 10 minutes of credits. So
and there's chanting in the woods.
Yeah. Shh, we're not going to ruin that for you.
What?
No ending.
I'm not going to talk about the ending.
I'm going to translate it for you right now. It just said, "Hear me now. All crimes be treasured if they bring thee pleasure." Somehow. I don't know why I went pirate. I went pirate on that.
Yeah, pirate with the witches.
I just appreciate when movies escalate very early in the film, and
that's fine and dandy. But then it plateaued.
The funny thing about that, Forrest, is that you actually do have, if you go back and listen to our episodes, issues with movies where they don't give you enough backstory.
Plus, seriously, how much did we have to watch a man chop wood?
I thought
there was a lot of chopping wood.
I mean,
were like, "Holy Jesus, are you chopping a lot of wood, bro?"
I came into the movie theater.
Is that a thing of sexual tension? You think?
Chopping wood. I forget. Well, I went into the movie theater thinking there was going to be a little bit on in the village, but the fact that they didn't really bring that upon us, I thought that was amazing. Still.
So, John, what do you give it out of for your marks?
So it was flowing at a 5 for me. I was like, what is the point of this movie? And the ending, brought it right back up. I'm 75 out of 100. It's a good solid C.
Nice.
Cool. 4 words, Rachel.
I need more beer.
That's a good 4 words.
Yeah.
Forrest, you?
I loved this movie.
It's about right for you. 4 words.
Spell it with a V.
Spell it with a V.
Nice.
The Vitches.
I like that. The bitches.
I am going to say, hail yourself, hail Satan.
Nice.
Hail Satan.
Because ultimately, at the very end, when she makes that final decision, it is a hail yourself, hail Satan moment.
Yep.
It's ultimately.
And I love that unveil, too.
All crimes be I keep screwing this up. All crimes be treasured if they bring the pleasure somehow. I've had enough beer. More beer. More wine. Garçon.
More vino. All right, guys. Well, that was the Darkercide Podcast movie review. Right now, we're going to dive deeper into the darker side. John is going to be covering the one and only, honestly, Rodney Alcala. John?
This guy's a horrible person. So,
I bet.
In the last episode, I talked about how there was a bunch of photographs, and I urged everyone to go take a look at them because there's a legacy of death associated with this man, Rodney Alcala. So, real briefly, if you Google the dating game killer, you will find Rodney Alcala, and what his deal was he was a man, a sociopath, who made it onto the dating game during the height of his murderous spree. So let's go back to the beginning. Rodney Alcala was born Rodrigo Jacques Alcala Bacor.
Yeah.
And I apologize if I mispronounced that at all. From San Antonio, Texas, and basically just about as soon as he came into existence, his dad left. And that's
like any serial killer father or situation, it's either a beating or some sort of...
Or the extreme opposite, where they're overprotective.
Exactly, by a parent who was, fucked over by the other father, or most likely, father leaving, etc.
What's interesting about this guy is that if you look at his history, you have some shit dickery from his dad, but there's no real information about his childhood. It seemed like a basically mundane childhood, but fast forward, he's 17 years old in 1964, and he joins the U.S. military. He joins the U.S. military at 17. In 1964, he has a nervous breakdown in the military and is diagnosed with an antisocial personality disorder. He's given a medical discharge, and it's all well and good from there. 4 years later, he is spotted driving a tan vehicle with no license plate, and he picks up a child. A witness spots his car, and they see a little girl get in. So this girl is Tally Shapiro. She was 8 years old at the time, and gets into the car with Rodney Alcala. So the witness, being a pragmatic individual, calls the Los Angeles Police Department and lets them know what he saw. So they begin to go to his house and try to figure out what the heck is going on. But basically, he lured her into the car by saying that he was a friend of the family.
Now, we grew up in the 80s, John. This is exactly what your parents told you not to do. Mm-hmm. If anybody who you have never met tries to pick you up and says, we are a member of your, we are a friend of your family, we're here to pick you up. My mom told me never to run away screaming, ah, fuck you, no, you're not buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, Tally's life would have been a hell of a lot better if she had simply run away screaming, but she didn't.
When was this, back in the 60s?
1968.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is, 68. We were 20 years later.
So how old is he at this point?
He was born in 43, 68, 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he picks the girl up. The LAPD figure it out. So they go to his house. They knock on the door, and he answers completely naked. He says,
"Wow, sexy."
Yeah.
Well, it was the time. The cops would go to your house at that time.
Groovy,
baby.
yeah,
it was groovy, baby. Exactly. It was a fucking groovy time, is what it was.
And by all accounts, he was a sexy guy. But
he was a looker.
I wish I lived through the 60s. I really did.
Well, who doesn't? I probably wouldn't have survived much into the 70s, but yes.
There's so much cocaine. It was just like...
It's sex.
It was flowing.
Oh, my God.
All right, so the cops go to his house. He answers the door, and the cop that went there describes him as having a very evil face.
Interesting.
So Rodney Alcala says, hey, listen, I'm taking a shower, so you got to give me a second to get dressed. And the cop's like, you have 10 seconds. So Rodney Alcala closes the door. The cop's like, nuts to this, kicks the door down, and goes into the kitchen and sees this scene. And this is disturbing. There's photographs. Don't look it up. I'm never gonna unsee this.
You can't unsee sometimes some of the things you see.
Some things cannot be unseen. So he enters and he finds a very wounded, he thought she was dead, 8-year-old girl lying on the floor with a pair of white Mary Jane shoes right next to her body. And he said there was so much blood, he didn't believe that a child would have that much blood in them.
Good Lord.
Oh, that's awful.
Next to her was a 10-pound metal bar that he had apparently used to try and strangle her. So basically she had been raped and left for dead on this kitchen floor. And while the cops were searching the house to try and figure out, where this monster was, she started to breathe.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. No, she started to breathe. So the cops immediately, their focus was on the 8-year-old girl and not catching the son of a bitch.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Come on. Honestly,
it's a fine choice.
Right.
It really is a fine choice. So they get her to the hospital. She survives. She lives on into adulthood. Yeah. Fast forward, he knows that they're on his tail, so he's out in the wind. He moves from Los Angeles over to New York.
Oh,
and
big jump.
So once in New York, around 1968 to 1971, he was a film student at the New York Film School.
Wow.
I read a bunch of accounts, and they all described him. You said groovy. They described him as a groovy film student.
Oh my
of course,
God!
Man.
I've been called that.
Well, yeah. I think I might have read something about him a few months back where he was. They did think of him where he would be like, "Hey, let's have some sex parties," or "Everybody, come on over. We're all actors. Let's get groovy."
I'm sure in the film industry it still happens, maybe.
Yeah, he had a casting couch, and he actually
One of
Yeah.
those.
Where you can go on YouPorn nowadays and go casting couch, and then you get all these videos. So yeah.
Black couch, white wall.
oh Jesus.
Ficus in the corner.
I'm sorry.
And a desk. And like a generic metal, like plywood desk.
My girlfriend sent me this picture of this job interview she's at. I hope she gets it.
Oh jeez. Wow.
I'm sorry. It's a meme online.
Okay, so he's in New York. He's working the single clubs, killing it. He's in New York. He's working the single clubs, and he's killing it. He's breaking hearts and taking pictures the whole time. He was an avid photographer. In the summer, he gets a job at a girls' drama summer camp.
Perfect job for him.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, no, there's no good scene with this guy. So he gets a job, changes his name to John Berger.
John Berger.
John Berger. I actually saw him in a movie with Jenna Jameson and Peter North. So anyway, yeah, he dons the name John Berger. He's working at the summer camp, and in 1971, a couple girls from the camp were at the post office, and they recognized Alcala from the FBI wanted poster. So in 1971, two girls from the summer camp recognized Alcala's photograph from an FBI most wanted poster that was at the post office of all places.
Really?
Yeah, they probably went to go mail the "Hey Mom, camp's great" postcard and see their camp counselor sitting there on the wall.
Oh. Spaceballs, but not as... Well, Spaceballs was... I mean, not Spaceballs. What the hell was the name of that movie? Meatballs.
Meatballs.
You remember the movies Meatballs?
Yeah.
Like, it's totally misogynistic and totally horrible, but, like, perfect for that situation.
I mean, if anyone's measuring their boner in the morning, it would be Rodney Alcala. That's for sure.
It's at 85% today, and the weather will be sunny.
I'm not gonna lie.
Not gonna lie.
I've only watched like the first half of that film. I gotta rewatch it.
Don't.
No,
It's bad.
go on to Rodney.
It's only because I fell asleep, not because the movie was sucky or anything. It was kind of corny, but...
Oh, good
Oh,
lord.
super corny. Okay, so these two girls recognize the poster in the post office, and they let the authorities know. So Rodney Alcala, wanted for the horrendous acts that he did in 1968, was picked up and brought back to L.A. to stand trial. Here's the problem. Tali Shapiro's family decided to, when she was nursed back to health, they fled California and moved to Mexico because it's safer.
Because
They moved to Mexico.
They moved back to Mexico because it was safer back then.
They moved to Mexico because it was safer, yes. Wow. Yes.
Good lord.
Hashtag border wall.
All right, go back. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So because of that, they refused to bring Tali Shapiro back to the U.S. And why would they? Like, I mean, to face the accuser, yes, but at the same time, they want to protect their daughter. So they chose to not bring her back. The problem is the FBI loses their star witness.
Yep.
Good lord.
So he stands trial for rape, kidnap, assault, and attempted murder. With no witness, they got him for child molestation.
I'm gonna take a drink for that.
And tell you what, people don't really get a lot of time for child molestation, unfortunately. I mean,
It's ridiculous.
it's probably from a Christian perspective or a humanist perspective or even if a satanic perspective, the worst fucking thing you can do is molest an animal
Rape.
or molest a child. They're the purity of humanity, the purity of nature.
Yet in the legal system, carrying pot is way more offensive.
Yep.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable. Yeah, man.
420, hashtag 420.
So he got child molestation.
Child molestation. So they sentenced him for 1 year to life.
Exactly.
1 year. 1 year to
Are
life.
you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. So I mean, life sounds good, but the 1 year kind of lets you know what happened. He was paroled 34 months later, so he spends almost 3 years in jail. In that time, I personally believe, and I read this in a couple of different places, that he learned not to leave witnesses.
He learned how to become a better molester, a
Manipulative,
better
bastard.
sexual predator, and a better killer.
A pure, horrible monster.
An animal.
Yep.
Not an animal. You know what?
Animal.
He's not even. We can't even compare him to an animal because animals are pure.
Yeah.
He is a fucking monster.
He's a monster. This is one of the worst human beings I've ever looked into and read about. And if you look at my search history,
So dark.
someone's gonna come to my house.
Yeah, the FBI, NSA, all the triple letters. What are they called?
the three digit companies. will all be-
Three-digit companies, exactly.
Yeah. I did just buy another copy of Catcher in the Rye.
Very nice, John.
Yeah, it's a great book. I highly recommend reading it. And then when you're done reading it, buy a new copy.
You and Mel Gibson.
Okay, so he's paroled. He gets caught very quickly thereafter for selling weed to a 13-year-old girl.
Of course.
Seriously? Of course he gets caught for selling weed. Doesn't get caught for molesting the 13-year-old girl, but he got caught for selling weed to a 13-year-old girl.
So you're actually much more right than you know.
It's all natural, though. It's okay. I'm sorry, I had to say that.
All right.
You're absolutely more correct than you know. So he's arrested for selling weed to her. However, she said that he kidnapped her. He was not charged with kidnapping.
But selling weed.
Yep.
Selling weed.
What state is this again?
California.
Really?
Mandatory minimum sentencing
Really?
in
California?
California at that time.
People bash on California all the time. That's
But this is in the 60s or
70s. So 1971.
Wow.
Mandatory minimum sentence.
At 34 months, so 3 years. So 1974, he gets caught selling weed, goes back into the slammer, and he is released in 1977.
So how many years?
wow.
3. Is that 3 years?
Yeah, another 3. So he spends a total of 6 years in jail for
Okay, so he gets 3 years for molesting a child.
3 years for molesting a child.
And the second time he's in prison, he gets 3 years for marijuana charges.
That sounds
Selling
kinda fishy.
marijuana to a 13-year-old's a little bit different.
Oh.
A little bit different. They release him in 1977.
Wow.
So he's released and let the spree begin. And here's where everything gets a little bit confusing. I did not tell you about the fact that he killed somebody in 1971
Interesting.
because nobody at the time actually knew that.
Wow.
Wow.
While he's being extradited over to California, he had already committed a murder in New York. And they don't figure out that it's him for years. But that's something we're going to talk about in the next one.
So just to let you guys know, this is a part 1 of a part 2 series.
Yep. Part
So
2.
again, our second part, our multi-part series, our second, but this is a big one, so we really need it.
I love 2 parts. 2-parters. I love them.
You would.
Okay, I'm going to turn the page because I take notes in a notebook.
John's like analog with his notes.
make the audio better.
All right.
All right.
All right, so let's run down the score sheet of depravity. So November 1977, he murders.
Boom.
So in November of 1977, he murders Jill Barcombe. Not only murders, she's a 18-year-old girl. He rapes her, sodomizes her,
Oh God.
murders her with a rock, and poses her body face down in the dirt in the Hollywood Hills.
Wasn't sodomy like an illegal thing in a lot of states back then too?
It is.
Technically.
It always,
Still
it
is,
always
isn't
will
it?
be, thanks to the Bible. But this was a big case in the Hollywood Hills at that time, right?
Well, here's the other problem with this guy. During that time period, you had the Hillside Stranglers, so they had a hard time figuring out who was killing who in the Hollywood Hills at the time.
Yep.
Now, isn't the news article that Forrest brought up earlier, I think that killer, the Golden State Killer,
yep.
is actually associated with the original Hillside Strangler
No
case.
fucking way.
I think there's a twist. I think there actually is a connection.
I didn't even
there.
look into
Dun,
this.
dun,
I'm sorry, guys.
So we'll have to look into that more for
Part
follow-up.
2. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, for the part 2.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a therapist after all this.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mom's a therapist.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I'll grab her card and we're done with this.
Yeah, good.
So December of 1977, a month later, he murders Georgia Wixted, also in Los Angeles. Again, the same MO, raped, sodomized. She was 27 years old. He used a hammer in some very descriptive ways that I refuse to bring up. If you want to look it up, be my guest. Use your imagination. Your imagination is not as dark as this man.
So bad.
So he beat her with the claw end of the hammer and then strangled her with her nylon stockings, posed her in her apartment.
Good Lord.
I gotta take a drink for that. Holy shit.
You're going to get drunk by the end of this. In 1978... In 1978, he's a guest on the dating game. Bachelor number 1. And
on the dating game?
Yeah, you can actually go on YouTube. John sent a link. We'll have a link put up for that one episode.
They didn't do like background checks and shit like that? Or?
Well, he wasn't convicted of anything. He had minor charges prior to that.
So at the time, and I'm glad you guys brought this up, at the time he was a registered sex offender, working as a typesetter for the LA Times and a photographer.
A typesetter?
A typesetter.
For the LA Times, wow.
Yeah, but was Hollywood doing query checks at that point?
No, nobody looked at anything.
That's why.
This is the reason why we have query checks now, is because of this man right here.
My phone goes off every time I get
people
one.
like him. Exactly.
Yeah, anytime you're mad, you can't just go into a school and read a book to your children. I'm okay with that. I'm fine. You're good. So, I'm going to talk about the dating game appearance, but I'm doing that on episode 2.
Hell yeah.
In June of 1979, he murders Charlotte Lamb, who's a 33-year-old woman. He kills her with her shoelace and poses her in her own laundry room at her apartment.
Oh my god.
How does he kill her with a shoelace? Like he just strangles the fuck out of her?
He strangled her, yeah.
Wow.
This man was known for playing with his victims.
And that's why the detectives called him, who were on the case, a fucking killing machine.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like they should have made him a lot more
Actually, he does have a lot of similarities, like Ted Bundy-wise, killing style-wise.
He would
for sure.
He was known for strangling people to the point where they were about to pass out.
But didn't Ted Bundy feel
letting
bad
them
about
wake up and continue?
No?
Ted Bundy didn't. No, he didn't. There was no compassion there. That's why he was convicted for so. But yeah, absolutely, man.
In June of 1979, he murders 21-year-old Jill Parenteau.
A year after I was born.
Oh my god.
That is a year after David was born.
Wow.
Yes.
No,
sorry. A month. Sorry. A month after I was born.
Holy
that
shit.
was a month after David was... So...
Holy fuck. That's crazy.
He murders her and leaves his own blood at the scene.
Ooh.
Which is the beginning of the case being built for this man.
The beginning of the end.
This is the beginning of the end. And then...
What year is this again? 79.
79.
So it takes 39 years from this point on?
Wow.
Oh, this court case was going on well into the 2010s.
Wow.
Wow.
He had many trials. I barely have time to do it, but he had a lot of trials, and we are going to talk about his dating game appearance and his trials next time around.
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
In July 2nd of 1979, he kidnaps 12-year-old Robin Samso. So her and her friend were sitting on the beach, and he came over with his camera and said, "Hey, I want to take some pictures of you." He seemed very creepy at the time.
How old was the girl?
12. Wow. He seemed
That's our daughter's age,
Yeah.
basically.
Yep.
Yeah,
Think about that.
Wow.
Yeah, don't think about that.
Don't. Please don't. Oh my
Sorry. No, I don't want to think
I
about
know it's
that.
hard.
Good Lord.
So she's at the beach with her friend. They're having a good time, Huntington Beach, California.
I lived right near there.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a hot spot for creeps.
It's a beautiful beach too. So they're out on the beach, chilling, having a great time. He comes over, says he wants to take pictures. There are witnesses, which is how they eventually ended up catching him. Robin Samso was not all that lucky. She borrowed her friend's bike and was riding. She was riding to her ballet class and never showed up.
Wow.
Wow.
That's usually how they always end up. Unfortunately, they never showed up.
She never showed up.
Wow.
Well, just the child never showed up, and that's where the story begins.
And that's where today's story ends.
Good.
We're going to pick this back up tomorrow with what happened with the witnesses, what happened in his court case, and just for fun, we'll talk a little bit about this sexy guy as Bachelor number 1 on the dating game.
Nice.
How many court cases were there, John?
There was 4?
And then I think we're working on another one now to get him more convictions, hopefully.
Quite frankly, they stopped extraditing him. He has been sentenced to death.
The ultimate.
And what else can you do to the guy? So we'll pick that back up next time. And that's what I got right now on Rodney Alcala.
Nice.
Johnny, thanks for diving deeper into the darker side.
Thank you, Johnny.
You gotta stop doing that.
Thank you, Johnny. I'm sorry. I help myself.
All right, John, thank you so much for giving us that information. I can't wait for part 2.
Me too.
That'll be coming soon.
Oh, hell yeah.
We've
I'm
got
excited.
some fun. We've got some fun stuff planned, I think, for part 2.
Yeah.
All right, right now there's a segment where we let Forrest give us a little news story and why it makes you just,
We're going
angry.
to walk into the forest with a picnic basket. We're going to put a blanket out. We're just going to get lost right in that forest.
We're going to get lost in the forest.
Hell yeah.
All right, Forrest, ready?
Yeah, welcome to the forest. Or the
All
jungle.
right. Here you go. Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome, guys, to my little segment that I have. I promise it's gonna be really quick. Just keep in mind, this made national news. This was heard all over the world. This is something new and fresh, but unfortunately, this isn't something that's really circulating around America, sadly. So let's start out with where I got the story, LGBTQ Nation. So my discussion today is about something that happened recently, April 27th of 2018. Bill making adoption of LGBT passes in Oklahoma. According to AP News Source and LGBTQ Nation, a bill opposed by gay rights advocates who say it would allow religious-based adoption agencies to discriminate against same-sex couples, single people, and non-Christians has passed the Oklahoma House.
What?
And this is actually
Yeah.
something that was happening during...
It's pretty fucking ridiculous, dude.
This is something that's been happening during the Obama administration as well.
But it's been going on for quite some time.
It
in
has
this
been.
country, for a long time.
It has
Forrest.
been.
But the bill has officially passed.
The bill passed
Yep.
when?
Okay.
The bill passed the GOP-controlled House Thursday on a 60 to 26 vote.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a fucking.
Whoa.
That's a good majority.
it's a landslide.
This is
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I don't support the Republican Party. But its supporters were unable to remove an amendment to the bill that extends the protections only to agencies that receive no state or federal funds.
Exactly, and it should be that way.
Okay.
The Catholic Conference of Oklahoma, which endorsed the original bill, says it is working to remove the amendment.
Of course, it would be.
But what matters is what's happening now.
Right.
It's the bill in its original form was designed to protect child-placing agencies that block adoptive parents who do not meet the agency's religious or moral standards, even though a lot of these agencies are ran by the state.
And they're also, they're funded by the state and funded by the federal government.
Yeah.
Exactly. And most likely are tax exempt, by the way.
Yep.
And the Catholic Church's untarnished record of high moral standing.
Exactly.
and
with
call
children, etc.
me a federalist, but I mean, or an un-American. If these agencies and the state chooses to go this route, then they should lose their federal funding.
Exactly.
Boom.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
100%.
States like
Agreed.
Texas, Florida, and there's a lot of states down south that should not.
Hey,
even-
our kids go to private schools.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have access to federal funding. We don't.
Yeah.
As parents, if we want to get loans, they're private loans. We have to take them out on our own.
I'm sorry.
I mean, we do pay taxes, and we may get tax breaks with the new tax laws in general because
Yep.
this government's pro, private schools, but whatever, etc. So the end of the story.
Well, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I have. And
Cool.
First, I would love to mention how much media attention this has gotten from the major American news outlets like CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC,
How much is
etc.
that, Forrest? How much?
What?
How much attention has it gotten?
Little.
Well,
Very
this
little.
news story has gotten a little bit more attention, I would say, or
From around the world, not
Right,
from America.
right.
American media outlets are not reporting on this. as it seems like a lot of current issues pertaining to LGBT Americans who work hard and pay taxes just like every other American in this country aren't getting much media attention from those news organizations, as if there is an agenda to keep the plight of the LGBTQ community out of the eyes and minds of the American populace. When I first see these kinds of stories on my Facebook or newsfeed, I feel as if they're fake. Then, like any informed American, I do a Google search to fact check the story 99% of the time. These horrible stories are real. With confidence, I can say that myself and the rest of the LGBTQ community wish and hope that these hate-filled, discriminatory, anti-LGBTQ news stories are fake. And more often than not, they are terrifyingly real. This, in my opinion, and many other Americans like me, is due to the fact that most of our national media see it as a non-story and brush it off like, well, the LGBT are old news, so we don't need to report on those fags anymore, pretty much. And just recently, there was a story where a transgender person was killed in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which once again didn't get much attention by our major news media outlets.
Now, was that dubbed a hate crime? I mean, was that because of this person was transgender?
I think
or did
we're
it...
still not sure.
At the moment,
crime-wise.
they're not sure, but the police did go forward and say that most likely it's not, but people were saying that it's too soon to tell.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, they were saying the police were wrong about doing such a thing so early. Like I said above, more often than not, the majority of these stories are real. Some can be fake and misleading, which is the most frustrating part of the American news culture. And it's the reason why you need to be diligent in fact-checking and being informed on fake news media outlets. Now, I am not saying the American media sources ignore all LGBT issues, but again, the Google searches and facts don't lie. Now, I want to say this loud and clear. I have seen with my own eyes on Facebook and on all other media websites across the board, idiots commenting on a ton of real stories that happen to real Americans, saying things like, oh, it's fake news, or the gays have all the rights they need, or God hates fags anyway, they shouldn't have any rights to begin with, or being gay is a choice, or there are only two genders, male and female, as proclaimed by the word of God. And this bigoted, closed-minded, and frankly gullible rhetoric bothers the fucking shit out of me. It really grinds my gears and honestly breaks my heart, because all we want, people like me and those in the LGBTQ community, are the same rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness like the rest of the cisgendered population of this nation. We want to love and marry whomever we love. We want to freely be ourselves, whether it be he, she, fluid, or trans. We want to go out in public and not be turned away from services the rest of the population is afforded because of someone's backwards, hypocritical religious beliefs. And lastly, we want the same rights, if we choose to, have a loving and caring family with kids, and should the right to adopt, there are 1,000 of kids in this country that need a good home, and we are humans too, with huge hearts and capable of as much love and compassion as the rest of humanity. I'll conclude by saying this: someone else's religious views should never, ever infringe upon the rights of another person, regardless of their race, creed, color, or gender. Thanks for listening, guys.
Hold on, can I ask something?
Yeah, you can stop.
Amen, by the way.
Yeah, no shit.
Amen.
Yes.
Thanks.
Amen. That was like, I want to cry.
Really? I'm sorry.
Thank you for it.
So, but like, religion, specifically,
Yep.
Christians or whatever, see abortion as a sin.
Yep.
Yet once these babies are born and can't be taken care of by their real parents and need to go into the system and be adopted,
foster care,
then they're going to get picky and choosy about who gets to adopt these kids.
It also makes me cry.
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys, the majority of the board of this podcast are cisgendered, and if you don't know what cisgendered means, cisgendered, and it took me a while, and I had to, I heard it 1,000 times.
Me too.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm out of beer.
Me too.
Cisgendered people means you, when you're born a male, you relate to a male in life.
Yep.
And if you're born a female, you relate to a female in life. There are other genders in this world.
Doctors are wrong.
So we are cisgendered. Me, John, and Rachel. I'm a man. You feel like you're a woman, and you're a man. Yeah. So that's how we feel. You're gay.
Homosexual. Homo sapien.
You have a few more, and all you want to do is love.
Yeah.
All you want to do is be a normal human being.
And if people are curious, I've always been attracted to men ever since I was like 6.
But it doesn't even matter. You should love who you want to love, and if you want to have a family in life, you should either be able to have a surrogate mother or be able to adopt.
Yep.
Just because you love a man doesn't make you any more human than any of us. We are all capable of the same love and compassion for a fucking child.
I think the
and if we
majority
can't
agrees.
do it biologically, let's take care of one of those fucking kids who are in the system who don't have parents.
I keep hearing that they're
don't
dying.
love nobody to love them right now. There are thousands upon thousands of kids in the system waiting for good families.
Yep.
And all of this type of legislation is holding that back for these kids.
It's counterproductive.
Single people. I mean, come on. Single people, really?
What were you saying, Rachel? I'm sorry.
About what?
At the beginning.
Love, David. Love is not a crime, and I believe
Love is love.
Jesus said that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Jesus.
you.
Jesus was a down brother.
He was.
Jesus and cheeses. I love cheeses.
Seriously.
Cheez-Its with Jesus.
But like, I did want to mention too something about 5 or 6 years ago, which got no media attention at all during the Obama administration. There was some state, I don't want to name it because I'm not 100% sure. I looked this up like when it first came out. I believe it was Nebraska or Kansas, where they came out with a law that would allow the legislation that would allow everyone to adopt. But they were right in the middle of, a re-election or something. So the new person who comes in, who's part of the GOP, says, you know what? No. We're going to reverse everything that we just did. And keep in mind, the people didn't vote for this. They just passed this allowance of legislation. Of course, it was strict rules. And he said after like 2 months of it being active, gays starting to actually adopt, which was awesome news. It made national news probably. Said, no, I don't agree with this with my religious belief, and my party agrees, and I'm going to reverse this. And people actually had to give their children back.
Ugh.
Unbelievable, man. You finally get a child. You finally get a child that wants nothing but love.
People were calling this fake.
You might as well just dig me a grave.
Yeah, you might as well just put a bullet in that kid's head.
Not
or
the kid's head.
parent's
I mean,
head.
Jesus.
You're
So
gonna-
dark. This
Yeah.
Darkercide podcast is dark.
It's just, it's disgusting, and it really bothers me because people
It
want
just
to
does,
have
dude.
kids, you know, and why should our political affiliations have to do something like that? And the other thing I feel bad for is the amount of lawsuits states get because of these kinds of legislations. It's going to bankrupt the states eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It will. And I mean, honestly, because of what color you are, because of what God you believe in, and because of what sexuality that you are, male, straight, gender, whatever, it doesn't matter. You should never be judged on those bases for how much you can love a child, and you should everybody should have the same rights to adopt a child.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. Thanks again, Forrest, for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
It really is it's an interesting topic, and we really should all be thinking about that. There are thousands of kids in this country, millions, not even, I think thousands, like hundreds, maybe tens, whatever. Too many kids.
One is too many.
Yep.
One is too many, exactly.
And the thing I left out was there's also women who can't have kids who would love to adopt.
Of course.
Who are single.
Who are single mothers, exactly. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a bigger issue than just
Than
this,
just
but
the LGBT.
But it's a huge issue. And thank you again. All right, guys. Well, that is the Darkercide Podcast. Next week, we are going to be bringing you Randy Alcala, Part 2.
Rodney.
Rodney. Randy, baby.
He's a Randy
He's
guy.
a Randy guy.
Groovy,
He's
bye-bye.
just not ready. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I am David Paulo. You can find me on Facebook. You can find my other projects at Frenemy Providence. life relationships and everything in between, just hit us up. Please give us an honest review and a like on Facebook. Thank you very much, Rachel.
Thank you guys for having me again, as always. It's wonderful to be a weekly guest
Well, you're not
as
a,
part of the show now.
you
It's
are
nice.
a full member, so don't say that you're just a
I
weekly guest.
know,
Rachel,
but it's
you
still
are-
nice.
That's like the woman in you coming out. You're like, all right, the guys are letting me a part of their crew. Dude, you're not a part of our
Sausage
crew. You are the crew.
All right.
The views
Rachel,
of David
you-
Edward Pottle are not necessarily the views of the Darkercide Podcast, nor the various stuff that the Darkercide Podcast
We
is on.
She has more power in this marriage than me
Hell
and
yeah.
anybody else.
Of course I
She's
do.
always right.
Yeah, the woman.
That is
Happy
true.
wife, happy life.
We are
Exactly.
all
It's
one
my
big
favorite
happy
thing.
family.
Rachel?
Love it. Well, thanks, guys.
Your deets?
You can find me on Facebook. I don't really know how to use social media because it's confusing. Let's face
What are you
it.
doing? Snappy chat?
I am
Snappy
Snappy
Chat.
Chat. Go ahead at DRP49532. Send me some snaps.
Hell yeah.
Forrest, real quick.
I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Forrest Films, all that great stuff. But I would really like to mention, please look up our own company, Facebook, Twitter, Podbean, iTunes Podcast, Google Play Music, Instagram, all that crazy stuff. Comment, message us. We want to hear from you. Anywhere. Comment, message us. We love you. And now to John.
What up? I'm Herman Brau, B-R-A-U. That's Herrmann, Brau, the word for beer in German, at Instagram. Send me pictures of your dogs, your children, your cats, the beer you're drinking, and anything else that you
Motorcycles.
like.
Your
Bro.
motorcycle in front of things.
Hashtag my bike in front of stuff.
Bro Herman.
Wow. Yeah, so come on down. Come hit me up on the Instagram and love me as I love you.
Thank you. For going to the darker side with us. The darker side podcast.
The darker side.
Groovy, baby.